for here, we're going to install VMware Tools on VMware Workstation 10. So when you install an operating system and have it freshly installed, an option here is to install tools. Well, VMware Tools enables many features and improves mouse movement, video, and performance. It basically installs drivers to run properly for Windows or whatever operating system that you have. You can do this for any operating system that you install, pretty much. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install these tools, and what it does is mounts it as a drive in my Windows box here. So you'll see it come up here as a D drive. It also might auto run here in a second, but you know what, let's just go ahead and run it. So let's install a run program. What I did is I right clicked on it. Anything you right click, you get a context menu, which means that the object you right click on is in context. The menu will display based on what it is. So in this case, it's VMware's Tools with an auto run on it. So we're going to install or run the program from this media. So we're going to click that and choose that. It goes ahead and it prompts us to, are you sure you want to do that? So we'll hit yes. And now it's going to go ahead and install these. And one thing you'll notice is in here, I'll show you, oops, let me just do this the fast way. In Device Manager, you'll see there's a lot. This is where all the devices list, and there's some drivers that aren't installed, and some are installed, but better ones will be installed on top of that. So these will all clear up and show, and we'll get into that another time. Let me just close this stuff off here. Okay, so then we have welcome to the installation wizard for VMware Tools. Install wizard will install VMware Tools on your computer. To continue, click next. We'll go ahead and hit next. What kind of install do we want to do? One thing I like to do on a lot of my software is choose custom install, and all that does is it'll usually default the typical install options to you, and then will allow you to choose extra ones if they sound like they apply to you, which is usually what I like to see. A complete is just install all of them. Let's shotgun approach and get them all. So custom is usually the one I like to do, and because typical will also install default things that maybe you don't want, like some extra software or something. In this case, we have nothing to worry about, but it's a good habit. So I'm going to go ahead with custom, and you can see the types of things that's all, which also gives you a little insight into what it is. So all these options right here are going to get installed. They're basically, you can see it all in driver. They're all a bunch of different types of drivers for the hardware, and toolbox that's included with it. There's not much else to add, so it pretty much is a complete install anyway as default. No big deal, but we got to see it. That's why I like the custom install. So we'll go ahead and hit install here, and we're all set to go. See, the virtual machine tools are only about 50 megs, so it's not a big installation. It doesn't take too long. It might have gone up since then. I'm not really sure. Actually, why don't we check how big it is? The whole space, 85 megs, 81 megabytes, or 85 million bytes. But you know, so it's not that big. 81 megabytes. It just takes a minute to install. I like to watch the status and what it's doing. Here you can see it's removing its backup files. You can get an idea of the installation process. Sometimes if there's an error during the installation, you can know what part it failed at and have a better chance of correcting the issue. So there I'm going to hit finish, and it says, do you want to restart your system and make these configurations take effect? Well, yes, I do. If not, then go ahead and install it, restart it later manually and hit no. But we're going to say yes, and it'll reboot the computer for us. Basically, it's just going to refresh all the drivers into memory in the proper order, also restart any applications and boot up anything that needs to be booted up, like a service or anything like that. Which again, those things we'll get into in another video. We'll be hitting all sorts of things. So as Windows loads back up, if you're seriously paying attention to these videos and you think you're getting something out of them, or you want to see something happen, let me know and I will show processes or something like that. Just leave them in the comments in the video. And also, please subscribe if you have a chance. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I'm going to set up a tip jar. So if anybody wants, I'll be setting up a tip jar. So if anybody wants to help support, if the information helped them and save them money from going to a commission, perhaps you could put some money in my tip jar, but it's never a requirement. Okay, so now you'll see that the operating system, the screen's a little bit bigger because the graphic drivers are a better graphic driver to use, and things are going to run a lot nicer, and also the mouse transitions a lot better here. So for the rest of this, I'm going to go full screen. That allows a nice clean picture, and it's as if we're working right in the operating system. So that's the virtual machine tools installed and set up. We can now go back in under Device Manager, which I showed you earlier. I'm not expecting you to just jump into this and know where all this stuff is. I'm going to have videos on all these things. Here's all the devices listed, and you can see there's no little yellow exclamation marks or faulty installed drivers. There's updated display drivers like the graphics and things like that. So everything's all set up. We're all ready to go. We can also copy and paste and move things from memory from my main computer to the actual virtual machine and copy files, which we'll show in other videos. Okay, well, thank you very much, and stay tuned. All sorts of stuff coming your way.